Hello. Bl'Artagnan here with Mother Fixation, the Kadaj Lost Chapter Lufenia Plus. I wanted to bring you one more team featuring Von, Setzer, and Core to show off a few other little bits of tech you can use to get through this fight. Also, selfishly, I just really wanted to use Von. I noticed no one had submitted a Von run to the Call to Arms, and I really like using him, so here we are. As always, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below with your favorite team that you run through this fight, if you've done it more than once. I mean, if you've only done it once, you can use that team too. It's all good. Just like, I enjoy hearing from you. So, with this fight, a few pieces to keep in mind. Core, of course, is completely busted as always. I mean, at this point, he's less overpowering than he was on release, but he's still an extremely capable and competent unit. In this fight, he's especially interesting because he can take up the orb on enemy turns. He will take up the orb by 6 for whichever enemy is attacking, and by 2 on both enemies. So I guess a total of 8 for the attacking enemy, which is kind of wild. Setzer is also quite good here. Synergy, not that it does too much for him, but his freeze debuff is really useful for surviving these recasts. You'll see I also, as a bit of additional tech, dropped RCL base call. We'll be using the LD call later in the fight to basically replicate these freeze effects and survive all these Brave gain based attacks. But we're dropping the base call here just to lower their speed in order to stretch the duration of our debuffs. Since they have that 50% cleanse, we want to make sure we get as much mileage as possible out of Gabranth and Kurasame. Gabranth is important here because that sap is what keeps us from taking kind of accidental damage due to them, once RCL's call is in play, because that doesn't stop them from naturally gaining Brave. We have no healer on this team. Beyond that, Von is just doing Von things, just kind of blowing them up as best he can. There we go. I wanted to try and force them below 80 after only one freeze turn had gone by, just to maximize that freeze debuff, because their non-recast attacks can also hurt quite a bit. Wallop is very painful, and Drain Eye can hit you pretty hard. So that's what we were able to do here. With Von, some setup stuff that I used that you might not have noticed. I've been spamming his skill 2, of course. I waited to apply Kurasame until his skill 2 had ramped up once or twice, just to try to maximize the effectiveness of the debuff by maximizing the amount of damage we're actually pouring out on them, I don't want to waste a turn of debuff on just like a base White World that's useless. That's the same reason with Setzer I didn't LD immediately, as I wanted to give Von a chance to kind of ramp up the number of Brave hits he deals. And overall, with Core, we're trying to pair him with whoever's being targeted to get the counterattack, but if it's a neutral situation, say they're attacking one of each of his partners, or they're both attacking Core, I put it on Von because I'm pretty sure I want to say his partner buff has some kind of offensive stats on it. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. You'll see here, trying to take advantage of using Von's LD with the Setzer buff if possible to maximize the Brave damage, because it's an entirely Brave based attack. These are the kind of things I'm thinking about as I'm going through this. I actually did a run of this earlier with Twins Friend instead of Unifriend. It didn't work out quite as well, because Twins Friend without this team doesn't really have like a true support on it, and I swapped out Setzer, so basically Twins were just hitting for less damage than I would have liked to see them hit for. I'm hoping with Yuna's Ors we could do a bit better, especially in Von's BT phase. That's some pretty solid damage there. Oof. Von is still holding up. He's a few months old at this point with those LD board rework. Similar to Beatrix, the LD board rework they gave him just completely revitalized how he works. Or no, he just got his LD board and that's just all they did. It wasn't a rework. Right? Yeah, no. Had my timelines mixed up there. But he is just splendid stuff. So this is the trickiest part of the fight with this team. You'll see we had gotten the RCL LD call at some point just to survive these guys for a while. So we want to push them below 50%. When we do, they're going to cleanse and charge up their recast. And that's awkward because we need to make sure Setzer's in position to freeze them when that happens. We do have Shiva summoned to freeze them if we need it. But we're also doing most of our damage in single target burst because of how Von works. We get splash damage, but it's mostly single target, let's be real. So it's all a very awkward kind of situation. So you'll see here what we did is focus down B, and now we're going to be relying pretty heavily on core, hoping that we can get him. Well, we're going to try and see if we can't push B back. I don't think that's happening, actually. I think we might just need to... We're going to see how much damage we can get done with his LDs. See if we're lucky, we can push him below 50%, get them both to cleanse so we can apply the freeze onto them. This wasn't the cleanest way to do it, but we'll Reaper's Gale to push B back. There we go. A debuff cancelled. Now, I am nervous about this. And I don't think I'm going to be able to break that. Their defense is probably too high at this point, so we're going to summon. Obviously, if I broke them, I could have pushed them to Setzer and frozen them that way, but it just didn't look like it was going to happen. So instead, we're just going to actually very awkwardly use our summon phase to reapply all our debuffs, because without these debuffs, without the defense down from Gabron, the HP damage up, it's just not going to be as effective. Sucks, but sometimes you just have to do awkward stuff like that. It's not like we're worried about the turn count here. Vaughn pumps out way too much damage for us to be worried about that. It just always feels lame using calls in the summon. So at this point, we're just trying to figure out when is the right time to bring in Yuna. I feel like if I brought her in now, there's a greater than 0 chance that those guys will end up killing us with some awkward recast attack that they get at 30% while Setzer's off the field. And we can't have that. So I'm just kind of mentally trying to figure out when is the right moment. And that's a big part of this game sometimes, is just figuring out the right time to apply your damage windows, apply your big guns, your friend unit, your burst phase, things like that. Nothing new really to telling you guys about this. So there's the first of the two freeze attacks we're tanking with Shiva. I gotta say, I appreciate the new Shiva, giving us some additional Ramu-style utility on top of just being a good summon. There we go. Now I think we're in a position where we can... Oh yeah, look at this. We're probably going to be able to bring in Yuna soon, but because I'm a coward, we're going to freeze Joker again first. I know this is kind of getting a little bit academic, but that last freeze should put us in a position where we can very safely bring Yuna in and not have to worry about being blown up by some wallop or something weird. I think we're actually safe in this moment, but yeah. That cool universe effect, still extremely good even in the BT Plus era. Go ahead and on the Reaper's Gale. I don't think not yet. Nervous about the orb, I think. Is that the reason I did that? Yes, I was nervous about B's orb. I wanted to make sure B was going to get off that attack so Core could counterattack it and we could boost it. So you see there, just jumped up by 8, and we are now safe from it. This means Yuna can now LD, and this puts Vaughn in the perfect position to go into his burst phase. Well, the 17% mark or so, that's the time to bring the burst phase, right guys? We're almost there. We've used our Reaper's Gale, we're turning on the attack aura, why the heck not? Kind of wasted our last fixed ice debuff, or buff, but we're okay there. We're not relying on core for that much damage with one turn of fixed ice left. Anywho, let's get to it. Move on burst phase. Still pretty decent damage, I think. I hope. We'll see. Paired with core should certainly pump out some respectable numbers. This late in the fight, these guys do get very durable. Luckily, the reductions aren't so bad that, I guess because it's a Maria stage, they wanted to give you battery. I noticed Vaughn's, his refund is doing perfectly fine here. So we have 2 turns left to the freeze, so we're basically set. We have plenty of turns left to kill these guys. They're at 5 and 4% respectively. So we've done what we need to do. The tricky part, what it really came down to planning around our freeze applications, so that we were able to save that freeze at the beginning of the fight by pushing them to 80%, get extra mileage out of the out of the speed down from RCL call, and really carefully navigate the 50% mark, so we didn't like have them on us with a recast without being able to freeze them. Yeah, that was pretty fun. I hope you enjoyed. We're going to go ahead and close this out. I thought this was an enjoyable fight, though, with some fun characters. So I wanted to share it. And hey, it gets Vaughn into the call to arms. Anyway, I hope you had fun. I will see you in the next video, and thank you for watching to the end. You know what? If you're all the way back down here, tell me a riddle. I want a riddle. Leave it down below. Adios.